This is David White for InMotion Gaming, and today we're looking at Phantasy Star Online 2. Now, as a lot of traditional Sega fans will know, they haven't really shied away from updating their old franchises and bringing them into the present. However, this has generally gone down a lot worse than it has with a lot of other companies, take Nintendo for example. However, upon playing Phantasy Star Online 2, I don't have anything but praise for what they've done for the series, and given that it has been 12 years since its last proper entry, it's refreshing to see something updated correctly. Now, going into Phantasy Star Online 2, if you've played either Phantasy Star Online or Phantasy Star Universe, you're going to feel right at home. Everything returns, from sound effects to menu layouts. Everything you're familiar with from the original games is back, and it makes it so much easier to navigate this game. One of the great additions they've made to Phantasy Star Online 2 has been making the whole game feel much more cinematic. While the thing looks very impressive, especially on some of the full motion cutscenes that are used to transition between your home ship and wherever you're going to do battle, it looks amazing, not just in these cutscenes but in the whole environments. They've certainly brought a new sci-fi aesthetic quality to it, and it really doesn't look like anything else that's currently there, yet everything still feels like it did in the original Phantasy Star Online, which is no easy feat to entertain. Combat remains just as faithful as it was before, with simple attacks, and if you time them right, these simple attacks become a lot more powerful. Also held over from Phantasy Star Universe is the ability of a special attack that differs per weapon. Now, adding to the action-based gameplay that this one has gone in the direction of, you also now have the ability to block with some weapons as well as dodge. Level progression in this game is a lot slower than the other games in the series, but it nicely offsets the action-based nature of the game. If your skills are good with the characters, then you can actually survive higher level enemies by dodging and blocking. The environments themselves also nicely mirror the original game, with forest and city environments that remind you both of the forest and the mines from the original game. Missions work the same way as they did in Phantasy Star Online and Universe, where you have the same missions available, but harder versions of them are available depending on your level, with the highest versions providing new enemies, new locations, albeit in the same kind of layouts, which adds a nice variation to the missions, and you feel like you deserve these new challenges if your levels are high enough. Characters now also talk when you go into cutscenes as opposed to just the text based of the original games, which makes this feel like a much better evolution of the franchise and something that was missing from Phantasy Star Universe. Now, the game is a free to play game, which means microtransactions are involved. However, don't let that distract you or deter you from playing the game, because these transactions only affect the visual nature of the game. Upgrades don't actually affect your character's stats, they just affect the look of your character, which means if you're paying to make your character look better and not actually paying to get more powerful weapons. It works off much nicer and shows, simply because this game was designed not to be a free to play originally and only made the transition a few months before release. Anyway, that's my thought on Phantasy Star Online 2, and I have to say I'm really impressed and will be picking this up the minute it's available in the European release. While it is in Japanese at the moment, you can play the game without any problems whatsoever, and I recommend doing it.